The River of Phones, 2023. What if one morning you went fishing and instead of catching a single fish, your net pulled up something completely impossible? Not bones, not relics, not treasure, but phones. Phones that weren't rusted, broken, or even wet. Phones that shouldn't have been there at all. This is not a legend from decades ago, not a ghost story from the past. This began happening in the year 2023, and even today no one can explain why. It started quietly. A handful of fishermen in a remote Asian village returned from the river, confused. Their nets, heavy and tangled, weren't filled with the usual catch. Instead, dozens of smartphones. At first, they thought it was simply garbage. Another case of the river choking on human waste. But when they picked the devices up, their hands froze. The phones weren't corroded. They weren't scratched. Not a single screen was cracked. They looked new, perfect. Some still wrapped in protective plastic. Some looking like they had just been unboxed hours earlier. How could hundreds of phones sit at the bottom of a muddy river, yet remain untouched? Curiosity got the better of them. They pressed the power buttons. Every phone lit up. Every battery full. Every screen glowing brightly, as if it had been charged moments ago. And yet every device was empty. No contacts, no photos, no call logs, no memory of ever belonging to anyone, as though they had been erased, factory reset, and returned to the world. But there was something stranger. The serial numbers and device IDs weren't blank. When investigators later traced them, they found a disturbing pattern. Each phone had once belonged to someone. People from different countries, different cities. Some had lost their phones years ago. Some reported them stolen. Some vanished with no explanation at all. The deeper the authorities dug, the more bizarre it became. Phones missing in New York, London, Jakarta, Berlin, Mumbai, Cape Town, all somehow surfaced in the same rural river in Asia. Customs records showed no transport, no shipping containers, no smuggling. And still, the river kept giving them up. Day after day, week after week, fishermen continued to pull smartphones from the water like fish. It was no longer one village's strange story. It was becoming international news. By mid-2023, police and government agencies descended on the area. Dozens of phones were collected and sealed in evidence bags. Tech companies were contacted, serial numbers logged, ownership histories traced. But then something impossible happened. The phones began disappearing. Not stolen, not misplaced, simply gone. Evidence lockers were found empty. Security footage showed no one entering the rooms. One officer reported locking a phone away, only to find the drawer vacant minutes later. And yet, weeks later, fishermen returned to the river with more devices in their nets. Phones that had been logged and bagged days earlier. It was as though the river was reclaiming them. Locals began to whisper about nights when the river would glow faintly. On moonless evenings, people claimed to see hundreds of tiny lights shimmering just below the surface. Not lanterns, not reflections, but screens, phone screens, glowing, flickering, pulsing beneath the water, like something alive. One man swore he saw a row of devices, lined perfectly on the riverbed, flashing in rhythm like a code. Another claimed he heard faint voices when standing on the shore at night. Muffled conversations, hundreds of voices overlapping, speaking in languages he couldn't recognize. When he tried to record them on his own phone, the device shut down. Theories exploded across the internet. Some believed the river was a dumping ground for stolen phones, a secret smuggling route used by organized crime. But this didn't explain the perfect condition of the devices or their global origins. Others whispered about government experiments, suggesting that the phones were being wiped and disposed of after being used in covert operations. Still others claimed it was something beyond human control, an anomaly of time itself, a place where lost objects from around the world drifted before being returned. In late 2023, a small research team attempted to dive into the river to collect data. The water was calm, visibility low, but within minutes of submerging their equipment, cameras began to fail. Batteries drained instantly, lights flickered and died, and the divers reported seeing something unnatural. Not debris, not fish, but a vast, endless field of glowing rectangles stretching across the riverbed like a digital graveyard. When they surfaced, their footage was gone. Every recording erased, hard drives blank. The only evidence they had was their word. Today, the government has restricted access to that stretch of river. Fishing has been banned, patrol boats guard the waters at night, and anyone caught with a device retrieved from the river faces confiscation and questioning. But still, the stories spread. Locals insist that the phones continue to surface. Some are traded quietly in markets. Others vanish again as mysteriously as they appeared. And when asked what happens if you try to keep one, the villagers fall silent. So what really lies beneath the surface of that river? Is it just a dumping ground, a smuggler's secret, or something older and stranger that we can't yet explain? All we know is this: the river does not give up its secrets easily. And if you ever find yourself there, looking into the water on a moonless night, you may see hundreds of tiny lights staring back at you. Phones that don't belong, phones that should never have been there, phones that should never have returned. The question is, return from where?